I'm Kate Krader. I'm the food editor at Bloomberg. And this morning, I'm so excited because I get to talk to one of my heroes, Simon Kim, who operates two of the most successful restaurants in New York. You've probably heard of them, COTE and COTE. If you haven't, good luck getting in. They have a 1,000+ person waiting list every single night. And he also has a COTE in Miami, which is equally popular and has people like Lionel Messi, who probably can get in. But what's kind of amazing, one thing that's amazing about Simon is that running, it's not, if you have a really popular restaurant, you don't need to, the environment and an eco mindset is not really what you would have in mind. And yet, Simon, let's talk about COTE. Let's talk about your fried chicken place.
Sure. So COTE is Cathedral of Fried Chicken, and the mission was to create better fried chicken. And so when I looked at fried chicken that everybody loves, how can we improve something that everybody loves? And we looked at chicken, and we found this Amish farm in Pennsylvania that practices regenerative agriculture, certified humane, pasture-raised bird. So we procure better chicken, and what's next is batter. So we found rice flour and starch that's naturally gluten-free. And what do you fry those now chicken and batter is oil. And we found this oil, which is quite interesting. It's called cultured oil. They procure a certified non-deforestation, certified non-GMO sugarcane from Brazil, and they extract and then they ferment it. In that process, you're able to get oil. And compared to average seed oil, it's about 10% of the environmental footprint, and it doesn't have the controversial negative health benefits of average seed oil. So we created basically better fried chicken, better batter, and better oil.
What's really cool about that also, though, is besides doing it, you also put it front and center on your menu, and not, that's not necessarily a recipe for a hot restaurant to do that, to put your eco credentials like front and center, and yet you do. Do you see that as being a benefit? Is your audience, do people respond to it?
I think so, honestly. So we created this really beautiful, we have an amazing branding agency called Pentagram. They're kind of the top of the design world. And we created this beautiful triangle, 3 circles, explaining all the chicken, the oil, the batter. We created this beautiful thing on the back of the menu, like very large in front and center, almost like a back of cereal box. But honestly, no one really looks at it. I think what they're really more lured by is a beautiful design, and we have the largest champagne list in America, and we have those viral chicken nuggets topped with caviar. So I feel, and beautiful music, I have DJs. I think people are more drawn to that,
That could be.
But just like cereal box, back of the cereal box, but I'm exposed to it, right? Whether it is the first day, whether it's your second day, whether that is your third day, or we create this beautiful relationship with our customers and loyalty. And when they end up in my website and they start seeing that the environment causes are actually part of this sexy restaurant, that successful restaurant, I think you start to create a little more of an interest and initiation to learn more.
So we were saying, though, you're a business person when it comes down to it. And yet, you see a formula for making environmental cooking or environmental food potentially a good business model. Like Ryan from Patagonia just did a good job, right? If anything's going to be inspiring, it's having a company like Patagonia, right?
Ryan's definitely one of my role models, right? To be able to create such a formidable business, but ultimately with a great mission. Yes, I think that's the goal, right? So I think there's a bell curve, right? That the extreme end of it is I'm willing to give up anything for the environment.
Right.
The other end is I'm willing to live on a styrofoam cup and plastic cup for convenience on a daily basis. I think so many of us live in the middle of the bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of gauge how much convenience and how much inconvenience we have to kind of make, daily decisions based on environmental and convenience and vanity and as a consumer, right? You have to make that decision. And our goal is to kind of stay in the middle of the bell curve, leaning towards the environment places so that we create the perfect equilibrium of successful business, a sexy business that triggers vanity and consumerism, because I believe what percentage of companies are interested in environmental reasons, making better planet? What percentage of companies interested in making a successful P&L? 100% of them, right? So the goal is how can we actually hit that perfect equilibrium? And obviously we're nowhere near that, and that's why I'm here, to learn more about how we can achieve that through companies like Patagonia, through people like Kat. So that's why I'm here.
Do you, so does it make business sense for you as COTE? Because often having, organic ingredients end up costing sometimes up to 50% more, right? Like everybody sees it when you go shopping, the organic products are always more expensive. And likewise, if you've got sustainable chicken from Green Label, like that probably is a little bit more expensive, and yet it works for your business model? It's been open for about a year and a half, and year and a half is not a short period of time, but I view restaurants almost as a dog. It's a good analogy. Dog looks like an adult dog in a year and a half, but until like 3 years, you're not a mature dog, if you will, mature restaurant. So we're still trying to figure it out. As of now, As of now, it's been very successful in terms of demand is really, really high. We're very fortunate at 5 o'clock on Mondays and Sundays. We're fully booked as the moment we open. So the business is there. Cost structure, we're still trying to figure out, but we're committed to this, right? This is, our mission is to create better fried chicken, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? So the cost is definitely a little higher than I anticipated, but the business volume compensates for it. So. And it's successful enough that you could conceivably roll out more COTEs? Absolutely. I think business success has been, humbly I say, it's a grand slam, right? We have about 150 seats, restaurant. We're going to do close to $20 million in first full fiscal year, which is a giant number for a fried chicken restaurant. You're doing okay. Yeah. You can buy dinner next time. Now, your other restaurant, the restaurant that you first became famous for is COTE, and that's a steakhouse. And the your environmental sustainability on that is taking a little bit more time. I know you've been interested in it. One thing when I first met Simon, he asked me if I had information on sustainable beef producers, and I did some work on it, and it's hard. Like, that's not a product that if you are really environmentally minded, you're going to eat a lot of. And Simon took it really seriously, and it's taking a little longer. Can you talk about that? Absolutely. Steak is very difficult because steak, there's nothing to hide. Whereas fried chicken, you're hiding behind. You can have lean meat, but through the batter and fried chicken and the other components, you can overcompensate. Whereas steak, we as Americans are so used to that idea of beautifully well-marbled, dry-aged steak. And if you don't get that, and when do we eat steak? To kind of sort of celebrate certain function, not necessarily to, steak by nature is not something that you want to be frugal, you want to be refined with. Has something to do with a little more of abundance, if you will. So we went to many different grass-fed, really leaning towards that other end of the bell curve where it's all about regenerative agriculture. And we fell in love with the beef, and we're like, we cannot wait to serve this beef at my restaurant. And at the end of the tour, I get into it, I'm like, I'm going to go out of business. So I think we've run into a lot of challenges, but a positive note is that the industry also, there are plenty of ranchers who are committed into better causes, right? So I was recently in North Dakota visiting Nyman Ranch Farm, and they were doing something really amazing. It was a no feedlot. The animal never leaves its birthplace until the final day, one bad day. And they were, just truly, not only is it regenerative agriculture, the animal welfare, the entire experience was extremely positive. So it takes a little bit of time for our palate as a consumer to get used to something that is not overly rich, right? So the taste needs to come down a little bit. The beef industry needs to also understand that just that
environment causes is not enough, right? We need to be mindful what we can feed to the animals to create that marbling that doesn't necessarily compare to grain finished, but somewhere in between, right? Because again, I think this is all about the balance, right? People are willing to bend a little bit, but they're not willing to eat dry steak at a Michelin star restaurant, right? Yeah.
So do you, so you're opening in Las Vegas. It's the big opening in like a huge restaurant city. It is the restaurant that everybody is most excited about. Will you be sourcing beef also from Niman Ranch there?
Absolutely. So currently we source from all over America in terms of USDA Prime. We have our partner farm in Nebraska that serves American Wagyu, which is a crossbred between Japanese Wagyu and American Black Angus. And we source some Japanese as well. So we're constantly looking, right? As we grow, we can make a little more bigger impact. And we can work with different farms, and as our purchasing power and our usage grows, we're able to kind of work a little more. What we want to purchase is what the distributor and ranchers want to provide. So we want to make sure that we're having those conversations, and that's why I visited this farm to ensure that we can continuously explore how the industry is developing so that when it's right, we can make that switch.
I do want to ask, because it's making such big news now, do you, with the flooding in Texas, and it's indicative of everything that's happening with the climate right now, all these climate emergencies. And yesterday I got to be on a panel with a woman called Ann McBride from the James Beard Foundation, and she's keeping really careful tabs on what's happening all around, from the storms in North Carolina last year that impacted pecans, and it's just a bit crazy. Have you seen is there anything that's impacting you based on current events, or like the Texas floods? Is that impacting your beef supply at all?
As of now, we have not heard from our purveyors about the impact, but I think as a dad and as an American, as a person, I think what we're seeing is, and also as a restaurateur that ultimately serves what grows, this is extremely concerning, right? These crazy weather experiences that are highly impacted by climate causes, man-made causes, are definitely really scary. And we want to make sure, this is a constant reminder why we are here, right? What we can do better so that our children can have a better environment. So it's a heavy subject.
I do. I love the idea that, I think as a parent, and they were talking about it just in the panel before, about the footprint that you have. And I think that's really interesting with COTE, that it was easier for you to come up with like a sort of good climate strategy for that. Is that one reason? Is that a reason why you will expand COTE, where you see expansion for COTE coming?
Yes. So once again, this concept is about a year and a half, but we're fully committed, right? And we saw such a big improvement, this rate of improvement that we can make with COTE, the fried chicken concept, versus goat. So I feel like where we are, we have made significant changes. Our chicken is entirely regenerative agriculture, as well as our oil. So I feel like we have a prototype that is significantly more advanced in favor of the environment. That's the prototype. So as an ambitious entrepreneur who wants to continuously grow the brand, there's a little bit of a conflict when it's with the first brand. Whereas the second brand, I feel very confident and lighthearted and more excited to continuously expand this brand, because win-win-win is the mutual win is what we're after. Yeah.
It's a lot of winning. Okay. I will say though, I'm based in the UK, and one thing that's really popular there is dairy beef. So it's cows that are used to produce dairy and milk, and then they have a sort of second act as the steak on your plate, or some kind of like cured beef. It's really, really cool. Is that something you would ever look at here? It's almost ubiquitous in the UK. I haven't seen it so much in the US. Is that anything you would look at?
Absolutely. And one of the positive things about the steakhouse that I own is we have a grill on the table. So every meat gets grilled on top of your table. So it's a combination of Korean barbecue and American steakhouse. So because of the unique setup, I can serve many different cuts of meat You know, a conventional American steakhouse, you order ribeye, you get 12 ounces of ribeye, and that's what you have. Whereas for our business, its most famous dish is called Butcher's Feast. It's 4 different cuts of meat. So ultimately, you eat 2 ounces of each cut. So we can be a lot more experimental. So let's say the older cows are interesting, right? Because it's more flavorful, but because they're older, they get more intermuscular fat as well. So I think there's a lot of merit to it. And let's say some guest doesn't really like it. Well, guess what? Let's move on to the next cut, right? They're not committed to it. So I think that's also an interesting part. So any sort of this experimental avant-garde way of serving meat, we're always happy to explore.
And what about like something else that made news? I was I was fascinated by this. I think somewhere, I think at a university, they were developing a pill to feed to cows that makes them stop burping and cuts down on the methane, which, you know, there's other issues with cows, but that would actually be an improvement. It's certainly an environmental improvement. Is that anything that you're keeping track of?
Absolutely. I kind of lost pulse on that, but a few years back, what we discovered is that there's certain type of seaweed. When you incorporate the seaweed into their feed, it reduces their methane production up to 75%.
Really?
Yes. So there's so many different undiscovered way of ranching, right? So I think these are, again, I'm in New York City selling beef and fried chicken, so I'm not necessarily on the ground trying to understand how. But we're having these conversation again, and as the consumer become a little more educated, and as I become more educated, if we can kind of align, then I think there's a great future ahead.
And is that something like, would you put it on your menu, like seaweed-fed beef? I feel like I would be fascinated. Like, I would want to order that. I will order it.
And what's really cool is a restaurant environment is really cool because you may not necessarily have a time to view that on a supermarket aisle because you need to go and pick up your son from soccer practice. But when you're actually at a restaurant with your friends, maybe that you have another 5 minutes to understand what that is. Or better yet, you just had really amazing steak, it was really delicious, and your server tells you that it was actually fed seaweed and created 75% reduction in methane gas on passing. That's enough to be seated, right? And when you come home or when you're in your office at 11 o'clock, you're a little bored, you kind of look that up, and then you can really kind of get educated on that. So I think that platform, having that popular restaurant that everyone wants to get into, I think it's a big platform, and I take that honor very seriously. And if we can, contribute very small, again, I'm in part of the bell curve. I'm not, unfortunately, on this side yet. So if I can make those small positive impact, that would be a great pleasure.